They say dreams are just fragments of our subconscious, but what if something else lurks within them? Something that isn't human? Lena had always been a vivid dreamer. Some nights, she'd wake up gasping for air, her heart pounding as if she had just escaped something terrifying. But last night was different. It started with a whisper, a voice inside her dream, calling her name. Lena, wake up. She turned, but there was no one there, just darkness stretching endlessly. She tried to move, but her body wouldn't respond. She was frozen, trapped. The air was thick, suffocating. The whisper came again, closer this time. Wake up. Her heart slammed against her chest. She wasn't dreaming, at least, not entirely. There was something in the room with her. She could feel it. A presence, lingering just beyond her vision, standing at the foot of her bed. And then, she saw it. A shadow darker than the room itself, shifting unnaturally, its head tilted in an odd, jerky motion, as if trying to understand her. Then, the whisper turned into a distorted voice. Wake up. A jolt of terror shot through her. The figure twitched, stepping forward in staggered, unnatural movements. She squeezed her eyes shut. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. And then, her closet door creaked open. She forced herself to look. The darkness inside seemed endless, but she knew something was in there, watching, waiting. The whisper turned into a laugh, a hollow, glitching sound. Her phone vibrated on the nightstand. She didn't want to check. She knew the moment she looked, something terrible would happen, but her body moved on its own. Her hand trembled as she reached for it. One new notification, a photo. Her breath caught in her throat. The picture was of her, asleep in bed, but the timestamp 3:33 a.m. She had taken no such photo. The room felt smaller now, the air heavier. She turned her head slowly, dreading what she might see. The shadow stood right beside her, inches from her face. Its voice was inside her head now. You let me in. She opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out. The figure reached out, its fingers stretching unnaturally long, grazing her arm. A cold, numbing sensation spread through her body. Then everything went black. When she woke up, daylight streamed through the window. Her body felt like it had been drained, every muscle aching. She let out a shaky breath. Just a dream. It had to be. But then she noticed something. Her phone, still in her hand, was open to the camera. Roll. The last picture, another photo of her sleeping. But this time, there was something standing behind her. A face. Not hers. The reflection in the screen blinked. She dropped the phone, scrambling backward. Her hands flew to her mouth to stifle a scream. The room felt wrong, like the air had been replaced with something thick, unnatural. She ran to the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face. When she looked up at the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Her skin was pale, her eyes hollow, and then her reflection smiled. Her real face hadn't moved. The reflection lifted a hand and pressed a finger against its lips. Shh! The lights flickered. A buzzing sound filled the room, growing louder, distorting into something inhuman. She clutched her head, her ears ringing. The walls warped, the ceiling twisted, and then silence. She was lying in bed again. Had she ever even gotten up? Her phone vibrated once more. Another photo. This time, a video. She hesitated before tapping it. The screen flickered, static filling the frame, before slowly revealing something that made her stomach drop. The footage was of her, sleeping, but there was movement. A shadow in the corner of the room, inching closer, frame by frame. Then, in the final second, it turned to look directly at the camera. Her own voice, distorted, broken, whispered from the speakers. You should have never let me in. Her bedroom door creaked open. She wasn't alone. A breath not hers brushed against her ear. Then the voice came again, behind her. Wake up. Everything went dark. Silence. And then she opened her eyes. She was sitting on her bed, her phone in her lap. The screen was black, her reflection staring back at her. Only, she wasn't moving. The reflection was still smiling. The screen went to static. And then darkness. A whisper. You let me in.